We're going to call our meeting to order. This is the capital improvement plan meeting, budget workshop. Today is Thursday, June 29th, 2023. We're at the Public Works Building. Tammy, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Miller,
Here.
Mr. Smith,
Here.
Ms. Hamilton,
Here.
Mr. Lally,
Here.
Mr. Wolf.
Here.
All right. I guess we're going to give this over to Mike.
Thank you, Mayor. We are here at our June 29th first public budget workshop. This was added at Council's request when we presented the budget calendar previously. This workshop is pertaining directly to the capital improvement plan. The CIP will include all capital equipment, capital facility, and infrastructure improvements that staff believes should be undertaken. I would ask that you really scrutinize this upcoming fiscal year and then consider the following four as more of just a general plan, general outline. There are some things in here as well. You need to place items in those future years to be eligible for certain types of grants. So if you ever see a significant expense, 27, that may be just so that we can pursue certain grant opportunities. Those ones are certainly not in stone. And as a reminder, our next budget workshop is on July 12th. I want to make sure I say that, 6 p.m., where we'll dive through the entire operating and look at this plan again in depth. With that, we can dive into the CIP. I believe everyone has a copy in front of them. Your first page is the CIP summary. We cover revenues and expenditures. We have not calculated the impact on operating yet. You'll see that throughout the plan eventually. The goal is to have that in there as well so you can pick up operational efficiencies and start tracking there. But those numbers have not been calculated at this time. This CIP proposes $6.8 million approximately in fiscal year 24, $834,000 in fiscal year 25, $2.5 million in fiscal year 26, $403,000 in 27, and $307,000 in 28, for a grand total of $10.8 million over the next 5 years. Of the $6.8 million in fiscal year 24, only $144,700 comes from general fund. The bulk of it is the 5.576 in grants and aid, correct. And of that, $5 million of it is for the future fire sheriff's office that's proposed behind this facility. You'll see in the expenditures, it's broken down by department. We'll tackle those as we go through. My plan is to go page by page. We'll do a quick overview of it. If you have any questions, we'll ask those. Any general directions you want to see in the next item, we'll address, and we'll move from there. We can go as quick or as slow as the council would like.
Okay. Do you have a question?
I have one quick question.
Sure.
So the 5.5 is grant money in, project out, not an effect on the bottom line of the taxable revenue that we need. That is an outside.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there's a correlating match, that would be shown in the general fund. Or
So this is assuming we get everything in the
yes.
works. Okay.
And if we do not receive the funds that we anticipate, either the project doesn't happen, it will come back to council at a future time. We'll analyze that. So it does make some assumptions that we'll receive certain grants. And I do want to be clear about that too. That there's a project all the way at the end that anticipates, for example, a $75,000 grant. If that doesn't happen, more than likely the project is entirely canceled unless council wants to do something different at that time.
I want to make a suggestion going forward, and it's been frustrating me every time I look at a budget or any multiple amount of paperwork. We have 5 departments, probably anywhere from 3 to 10 sheets on each one. If we could number stuff,
Sure.
it would really be nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. Throw in Adobe and put a footer on it.
We can add that in.
And dates as things change, that helps too.
Sure.
Yeah,
Like
revision at the bottom.
Update
Yeah.
here, at this date. that kind
And we're not talking operating at all today. We're only talking capital.
That's the goal.
of- Okay. All right. You ready to move forward?
With that, we're gonna move into it. You do have a pie chart there showing the fiscal year 24 projected costs by department. Same information I saw at that previous page. And then another one for revenue by type. With that, we'll move into public works. As previously mentioned, $284,000 in fiscal year 24 for public works. The breakdown for that is $75,000 in the general fund, $7,000 through grants and aid, $175,000 from the pavement and maintenance fund, and $14,000 from sanitation and $13,000 from other, which we'll address that when we get to that page. One item that you'll see change on this sheet specifically is there's $175,000 allocated to professional services and expenditures. That 175 will actually be aligned to infrastructure, the line below it. I'll explain the reasoning on the next page. So no questions on this specific one, we can dive into the project specific and how these totals come together.
Before we do, I'm used to P&L budgets, okay, and P&Ls are a lot easier to use, and I think Mr. Wood made that comment to me one time, and the government budget is way different. I just want to make sure that the new people here, yourself and Linda, understand what we're looking at, because we looked at it last year, and you can actually break down, you know how to break that down and how those numbers are affected. You can see it visually. If you use your calculator, have you done that and understand it? If you don't, I think Michael would want to do that. If you do, let's move forward.
It backs out.
Yeah.
resources,
Yeah.
of course.
That's fine. Just want to make sure we have a good understanding of what we're looking at.
Hurts my head.
Yeah, that's mine too.
All right, so if we move to the next page, we'll start going into the actual projects within the Public Works Department. The first one is for paving and striping for fiscal year 24. That's that $175,000 proposed for the pavement and maintenance fund. Again, these numbers that you see in the expenditure line will move into actual infrastructure because we are improving the city's infrastructure, not professional service. Tommy's still working on exactly which streets we're going to pave next year, so you'll see that list here probably in the next budget workshop.
Is that something we could make public as soon as
The list
possible?
of,
Okay.
yeah,
Streets,
absolutely.
because so many people
For
have
sure.
asked about, like Hadley especially.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Where's that money come from, paving and maintenance funds?
Sure. That's your local option gas tax. And then the pavement and maintenance fund currently has a $955,000 balance, plus next year's revenue. So the 175 will come from next year's revenue plus the remainder from the existing fund balance.
It's basically federal funds.
State, the tax for.
Okay.
Nothing coming from the city.
Well, generated in the city, but yeah.
If no questions on that, we'll move to the next one. Our vehicle replacement program. The Public Works Department currently has 7 fleet pickup trucks. Most of those are pretty significant age, anywhere between 19 and 22 years old. The city's done significant work in attempting to replace some of those vehicles. We are proposing that you replace one additional vehicle at $50,000. I think in an ideal world, you would replace 2 every year until you are up to speed. This CIP is, when it factors into the current expectation for operating, we're almost balanced. We're not quite, we're still a little over, so I'm working on trying to present you as much of a balanced CIP. This is not, we're gonna go through 45 pages and then realize you're $2 million over and have to cut afterwards. So that's why I reduced it already from 100,000 to 50,000.
Are you putting the value as 50,000?
Yeah, I expect, I expect we'll spend approximately 50,000. That's on the truck and then outfitting the truck as well. The utility lights, the stickers, that good fun stuff.
Where's the money coming from to pay for that? Is that general operating?
Yeah.
Before we get too far, because we've changed it so many times, what is the utility tax currently set up for? Does anybody remember where we left off on that?
Oh, I was trying to do with that with Debbie
Is it
yesterday.
anything public works now? We've changed it so much.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the specific words, but we were talking about that yesterday. It's
Is
changed.
it the pier, canal,
No.
general, whatever we want to do? I don't remember. We changed it last year. Because I think that's where we need to start, anything that we can get there, because I think that fund has a lot of money in it too.
Sure, yeah, we can look at that. I would consider all those revenues to be addressed while we talk about operating.
Okay. So this is a question mark for where this will be funded, whether it's utility or general, okay.
All right. Moving on, we have attachments for the skid steer. Staff's proposal $5,000 in fiscal year '24. That we recently purchased the skid steer. I would propose that we add one new attachment every fiscal year. It only makes your equipment more versatile. So whether you're attaching a bush hog or a forklift, it just allows you to do more with the equipment you already have. I anticipate that being approximately $5,000, and then we've increased it slightly over the remaining fiscal years as prices continue to increase.
Michael, other than just adding an attachment every year, what attachments, do we have 15 attachments we need? Do we need one?
There's probably about 5 that we could use here. One of them would be a brush to brush the streets with, like a road street
That we
sweeper.
don't have currently and we want to replace, or no?
Right, well, when we got the skid steer last year, the only attachment came with it was a bucket and basically a fork. What we were looking to buy for it this coming year was like a bush hog that we could use to cut. If you notice where you turn into the boat ramp, when they came in and done the ramp coming in, they cut all that up on the shoulder where you can see the incoming lane. And that's what we would like to purchase, one of those. I think that would be a big plus for us throughout the city. If we need to clear any kind of heavy brush, and especially since we're going to be doing possibly yards now that are overgrown, it would come in handy for us.
We don't have a bush hog currently, we have one.
We have a
with
bush
PTO.
hog on the back of a big tractor.
With PTO, okay.
Right, so this would be just
Just
an
for a skid
additional.
steer.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
It's more of a mulch,
Right.
Yeah.
you know. It's a lot better to put in these lots if we don't know what's in them, if we're gonna clean them up, instead of a rotor mower, where you find them when you hit it with the blade. This mulcher eats it up as it eases through them, so it's.
I have my own John Deere from Paso, I got it.
And then to answer that question, we're probably looking at maybe 3 or 4 attachments.
Okay.
Close.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be difficult every page and say where's it coming from, so. Is it listed somewhere that I'm not seeing?
Right now, for example, that one is just listed as funded from the general fund revenue.
Okay, I
If
see
you
what
want to
we're doing.
break into the specific version of general fund, and
Got it, it does break it down, so I just kept seeing the general fund and I thought.
oh yeah,
Got
for
it,
example,
got it,
next one
got it.
goes.
That
It's
100
early, guys, I'm there.
The 109 is broke down.
Got it.
All right. Moving to our next project in the canal division, so we will be purchasing, recommended to purchase $20,000 in dredge hoses. That $20,000 breaks down to $7,000 through grants and aid, and $13,000 in other. The other will be the canal fund itself, which will be paid out from boat ramp permits, which has a it has a fund balance. I need to check that number actually. So, the $7,000 through grants and aid is through our Bay County Tourist Development grants. We recycle not recycle, but we purchase new dredge hoses every single year. Tommy, will you speak to how much work those go through?
Yeah, Kimberly makes a donation on that. When we do the beach raking and stuff, we get money from the beach raking for that she pays us back. And we just recently got about $6,000. And she also has money that she donates through the CDC to help us with the dredging. So I think that's what Michael showed here, where the grants and all are coming from for that. But we usually, in a year's time, the dredge hose is something that, you know, it has to be replaced. It gets torn, it gets cut, it gets, you know, so this is just something normal maintenance and that we do every year. It's not anything new. We do this every year.
Thank you.
Do we have any extras? I know we bought some.
No, we don't. Right,
We didn't what we-
right now, Troy told me the other day that we could use another, they buy it in 100-foot length.
Yeah.
The more hose we have, the further we can pump it down the beach. The closer, when we start losing some of the hose, it backs us up towards the canal inlet, and then the sand kind of circles around. So the further we can get it down the beach, the better off we are. Now, with that said, with the new dredge coming in, we're gonna be in pretty good shape. We should be able to clean that canal, the west side up, the east side up, and we should be in really good shape. It'd just be nice to get that sand further down towards El Governor. That's the idea.
And the couplings that hook this hose together, they're pretty expensive too.
They are too. Yeah, absolutely.
So with the,
But we can reuse the couplings to an extent, as long as they're in pretty good shape, they can take it, yeah. But over time, being in the saltwater environment, they don't hold up that long.
that's $5,000-6,000 per row. That was just if 100 foot,
Yeah.
you sort of want 20,000 on it, at least 4, or try to get 4,
Yeah.
400 foot.
Yeah. Plus what we already have on hand.
So the 13th is what we're hoping the CDC gives us. So do I need to make that request at the next CDC meeting for 13 or the whole 20?
You can request the whole 20, it always helps.
I'm sure she's watching me
Yeah.
on TV right now.
She sees you coming.
But you can also use money brought in by the marina soup rentals for that,
Correct.
and that's reasonable for at the moment anyway. Growing rapidly.
Definitely. All right, moving on to our next project is sanitation, commercial dumpsters. We are proposing the purchase of 10 additional dumpsters. Tom, correct me in tier 2 on this. So historically, we've been spending approximately $1,400 per dumpster, but recently, over these last couple months, we've found a significantly better vendor that's taken us down to around $500 to $600 per dumpster.
Absolutely.
So we are still looking for the same amount of funding. We'll just be able to increase the number of dumpsters we get. We speak to kind of the wear and tear that some of them have as well.
Right, we haven't had a few new ones because of the crossings coming online. They're going to eventually, we're going to put 6 dumpsters in there, which is going to be an increase in revenue anyway. That'll pay for those easy. We put 2 in there last week. When they open another building, we'll put 2 more. When they open another building, we'll put the other 2 in there. And we also make money off of those with extra dumps on the weekend. I did find a place in Panama City, a vendor that when we normally buy these dumpsters, they're about $1,400 a piece. Then we have to pay around $1,500, $1,600 to have them shipped here. So I found a place in Panama City, we can get them for half price, about $500 per dumpster, and we can go pick them up. So we've been buying, the last ones we bought 8 from the guy in Panama City, and we were able to go pick them up for at the time, bring them back. So we're getting 2 for 1 with no shipping, so a lot better price. And we do eventually, the dumpsters that are out now, just like El Governor, the campgrounds, different places, those dumpsters wear out, they get holes in them. We do patch them and keep them in service as long as we're able to. Eventually, bottom rust out of them is, it's not feasible to try to repair it anymore. At the price of $500 a piece, we can't even repair them really for that. It's easier just to replace it.
Can you
Keep your
replace
people
both of
busy,
them?
because your fund is paying for it, so.
Yeah, and it is, that's true, the place we put it's paying for those dumpsters anyway.
Exactly.
But the doors on the dumpsters, that's our probably our biggest errors.
Yeah, it's according to where it's at. Some places we have to bear proof them, so that's a little more involved, a little more money in that. The ones like for the Rustic Sands Campground, all those have to be bear proof, so that is a little more expensive. I'd say probably $100 per dumpster to bear proof it. Some of them have their own enclosure. We don't have to worry about bear proofing on those.
And the size of the dumpster would be the same?
Yes, ma'am, they're all 6-yard
Okay.
rear load dumpsters.
Okay, thanks.
Can I go back to the canal, one more question?
Sure.
The new dredge, That won't affect our hose usage, right? It's gonna be the same.
No, everything on the new dredge basically is built to the same specifications of the old dredge, so.
We won't need more or less, it'll be just.
Right, we can even use some of the parts that Troy already has, we'll work on the new one. Yeah, Troy was heavily involved in designing it and having it built, so everything's compatible with what we have.
So let me ask a question about this. The dredge, the old dredge, got a new motor. So when is the new dredge gonna be here and operable? Do we know?
The new dredge is supposed to, their delivery date was December.
Okay.
Right now, they're a little ahead of schedule. We may end up getting it possibly October, November, not sure.
Okay, so
But, what, you know, Doug had suggested that we keep the old dredge. We actually put a brand new motor, a brand new pump, and just replaced the cooling water pump and the circulation pump in it. So technically, the mechanics of that dredge is brand new. Just the shell is gone. So, his recommendation was to keep it, you know, a year or two and make sure that if the new dredge had issues, we have a backup to make sure the canal's open. And then once we get to that point, it's the council's discretion if they want to sell it. I mean, it's like I said, you could recoup your money that we paid for the motor and the pump and all. You should be able to recoup that. But
That's my
that'd be y'all's
question.
discretion.
Those revenues come back, come back into revenue.
Do either or both or neither fit under the 36th Street Bridge?
The what now?
Do either the current dredge or the new dredge fit under the bridge on 36th Street?
No.
Neither one will. Okay. Just curious.
Yeah, I was thinking the same
I
thing.
mean, if you keep it, you get to
It's
another
like,
part.
but we could dredge somewhere else, right?
We used to have, when you were here, Adrian, you remember, we had the small dredge, or maybe before you
Before
came.
my time.
We had two. We had a big dredge, we dredged the canal, we had a smaller dredge that we could go up and dredge the boat slips and up in the back. But they sold that one when we got the new one, so the one we have now, so.
Maybe we surplus it and talk about surplus and buying a smaller
Smaller one,
one.
that's, yeah, that might be an option.
Yeah, the only problem with that is once, you gotta remember, at that time, we were doing a lot of dredging, we had a spoil site back on the quarry property. Once you get back up past 36th Street Bridge, you have to have somewhere you can pump that to, so you have to have a spoil site, so that creates a completely different problem.
That makes sense. Okay. Any other questions before we move to the next one? Okay, Mike?
All right, Public Works and Roads and Streets, we're proposing the purchase of one new zero-turn mower for a year. So that's at a cost of $10,000 to continue to add and then replace any damaged mowers that we've had. I believe we're still operating one that saw significant damage from Hurricane Michael and had to be repaired. So that's the state of our zero-turn mowers currently. So I would highly investing in zero-turn mowers. You'll see the product of that work in your right-of-ways when you're driving up and down 98. All right, moving on, if there's no questions there. The purchase of a new trash truck, the city has been setting the goal of setting aside approximately $43,000 per year for the purchase of a new trash truck. This is one that I definitely foresee us having some good discussion on next workshop, and we're also looking at operating. In order to get the sanitation fund towards a balanced budget, I do not have funds allocated in fiscal year 24. So that's something that when you get the full budget book, you can really look into on how you want to fund that. But at some point, we are going to need to purchase an additional one, and how you want to fund that, whether that's saving every year, whether that's a bond, whether you want to try and pursue some type of grant for it. That's going to be a major issue for the council to consider and game plan for.
Didn't we always set money aside every year so that we could buy a new truck, Adrian?
Yes, unless we were avoiding a rate increase, we had sometimes postponed it. And I think that's what he's saying again, that we might have to, or we'll have to do a rate change. I mean,
Yeah.
because we can't next year's gonna be just as bad, I mean. So either we postpone it a year or just raise the rate, keep going, but that rate's getting there.
Absolutely. All right. Our next project is to refurbish the gas pump station at the city compound. The system is currently an extremely old rotary system. Periodically breaks down. It's really not very functional by current standards. This is a project I'd love to see us fund completely in fiscal year 24. At the moment, it's broken down to continue saving $10,000 per year for the next 3 fiscal years. A newer system would make it much significantly easier on tracking as well, electronically track and store that data. So it would help significantly.
You're saying over a 3-year funding.
That's how it's proposed currently. If the council would like to see it fully funded in 24, or we can rework and try to make sure that happens. It is a significantly challenged system.
Yes, I think we might want to
Yeah.
look at that, definitely.
I'm excited to see the badge swipe and electronic monitoring, because they had it 10 years ago.
Yes.
Got rid of it. And I think it'll help tracking.
Absolutely.
That's a safety issue of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And financially,
Mhm.
yeah, we need to probably try to fund that, see what we can find.
See how many mowers and attachments you want to get rid of.
Sure.
What'd you say? I missed that one.
See how many mowers and attachments you want to get rid of.
I think it was Dave.
We're putting aside the road.
All right. With that, that concludes our public works side of things. Unless you have any additional questions for Tommy, we'll move into the fire department items.
Do we check on the lawnmower, Tommy? I noticed we have different brands now. I thought the Deere was one. We went to Deere because of service, and I see these orange.
Well, Jerry, what we done, each department has different mowers. And when I say that, they all belong to the city of Mexico Beach. But the last one we bought a Bobcat, which was the same as the skid steer, simply because we got a better deal on it. The price was better, the warranty was better, and we're looking, I know the thing we have with the John Deeres right now, we have a bad problem with the mandrels going out on them, and they're really expensive. So Troy thought we might try the Bobcat, see if it would hold up better, and if it holds up good, we may, buy another Bobcat. That's the only reason we got a good deal on it.
I'm glad about the price, but the maintenance and
And that's what we're looking at. The John Deere's are good mowers, they cut good, but you gotta understand, in the city during the summertime, we run a mower, it's running 5 days a week. We're cutting grass all week long. So, we've noticed the mandrels going out really bad on the John Deere, and they don't do it on the Hustlers, so that's where we're just trying to find something that's more cost effective, that we got less maintenance in.
thank you.
All right. With that, we'll dive into the fire department. You have on that first page the summary. There's a proposal for $5.5 million approximately for fiscal year 24. Of that, the general fund would bear the burden of only $7,200. Grants and aid would come in at approximately $5.5 million. The 5-year total is just north of $5.6 million. And so with that, we'll dive in project by project. All right, first up, we have the purchase of a used Quint, essentially a new fire truck that Sandy, I'm sure, will speak to in depth here. But before, I'll just quickly summarize it. We have a $500,000 through grants and aid. That was secured by work by Mr. Baber and Chief Walker in submitting for state appropriations for $500,000 for this. We received formal notification that that is in the state budget. I believe it was last week. And that item will come before the council next meeting to formally accept the award. We can do a full kind of presentation on what kind of vehicle the city will be getting. But Chief, if you want to just quickly overview what we'll be getting with that.
Well, the idea is obviously a brand new fire truck will cost us $1.4 million, and it's not a good spend for Mexico Beach. The idea was to try and get a good quality second-hand one. So I've already been talking with a number of vendors who do reconditioning of fire trucks, and also with the gentleman that does our maintenance on a yearly basis on our own fire trucks, and he believes we should be able to find something for in the region of $425,000 with the $75,000 left over to basically fit out with all the equipment that's necessary to operate that machine. What it will do is it will lower our ISO rating. It will also enable us to put the 2005 Kenworth as a reserve engine, which again ups our ISO rating. So the whole idea of this is, with basically zero cost to the city, it gives us a very good chance of lowering our ISO next time around to 3 if we continue with other improvements as we move forward. And that, the step from an ISO of 4 to an ISO of 3 is absolutely huge for insurance purposes. And that's basically what we're working on. So at the moment, it would be a, you know, as soon as we can basically get the vehicle found, we'll know exactly where we're at. But right now, we're in the process of looking, because when we found out that we actually really did get it a week ago. There was talk about it before that, but after last year when we were told we got it and then it got vetoed out, I didn't do a single stitch of work on it until we got the piece of paper.
Excellent. Let's just, yep.
Is there gonna be a cost in training? This is a different truck than my people are used to here. I
We've
mean,
actually already put 5 of our members of the fire department have done the ladder ops training with Bay County. We've got 2 more to do it. The only cost to that was the extra little bit of overtime when they were in theory off, but they were actually in class. But the other than that, it was completely free, and that was a 40-hour class taught by Bay County Fire Rescue. So I've been through it. Firefighter Gallagher, Firefighter McGann already had it, Firefighter Weekly has it, and Firefighter McLeod has it. So we just got Firefighter Hodge and Firefighter Thomas have got to go through it, and that's it, we're done. So we'll have that well in place before. That's going to happen next month, so in theory we'll have everybody through long before we ever get the fire truck. So we're ahead of the 8 ball on that one.
Good job.
Excellent. Thank you.
Is this truck that's mentioned on here a different one from, didn't we just get a ladder truck?
No, this is the Quint. Sorry, a Quint is a ladder truck. Apologies, I used a term that maybe some people don't know. So a ladder truck in theory, or a ladder apparatus, is purely just a ladder. No water tank, no water pump. A Quint is basically a ladder truck with a 300 to 500 gallon water tank and a 1,500 GPM, 2,000 GPM pump in it. So in theory, it can be a fire truck all on its own. That's what would enable us to put old engine 43 into reserve, which is something that you need to have in a fire department. Should your main engine go down, you need to have a second engine somewhere. It's in very good condition because it's low mileage, but it is getting a little bit old. But if we continue to look after it, which we do, you know, as best we can, and our mechanic says it's in very good nick, that 2005 Kenworth will last another 10 or 12 years as a reserve pumper.
it's the same one we've been talking about. The
So
money
it's the
that
same
we
ones
got,
we've been talking about, yeah. Just I use a different terminology. We didn't get the $500,000 last year, but we've been talking about it for 18 months.
Right, okay.
Yeah. A lot of talk and no action, but hopefully the action's going to happen. And because I'm Irish, even more talk.
That's a good say.
All right. Next up, we have Wildland Firefighting PPE Phase 2 as the additional sets for wildland firefighting.
So this year we applied for a BFA grant, which is a 50-50, and we got it to give everybody in the fire department a set of wildland PPE firefighting gear. It's also usable for extrication through motor vehicle accidents. It's of that standard that it is passed for that too. The idea with this is just so that, you know, if we get new people in, this stuff is all made to measure. All our PPE, our bunker gear that we go into fires with, it's all made to measure. So if we do lose somebody, we have to then go have them fit it out, unless they're exactly the same size as the person who just left, which never happens. This enables us just to replace as we go forward.
And then the one that skews our summary page a little bit, the $5 million for the rebuilding of the city's municipal fire station. This is, of course, pending approval from FEMA. This might happen in fiscal year 24. I would lean more towards fiscal year 25, but we placed it in here in case it does come through. We're working with Ryan on Atkins on getting a more firm timeline. I don't know I think everyone's pretty up to speed on the project. If we want, we can dive into it.
This is the whole complex, not just the
Yeah.
fire part. We're just billing
This
it
is
all
the
to
whole
fire.
Yeah.
Got
No,
it.
no, we run all the money.
I see that, that's where it is.
That's why it's under there.
It's under the fire department, right?
Apparently, the fire department's taking over that.
That's the whole complex, correct?
I just sat on find my phone button. Apologies about that.
Did you find it?
I did, just in my pocket.
We're good.
All right.
All right.
Moving on, we have funds allocated in fiscal year 25, $50,000 for a brush truck purchase. If you have any questions, I'm sure Chief Walker can dive into that one as well.
This is something we tried actually. We started talking about this post Hurricane Michael with Andy Anderson,
Before.
and even before that as well. But post Hurricane Michael, we talked about with Andy Anderson, who was our administrator for that short period of time. And it was something that he wanted to bring in. We never got around to doing it for numerous different reasons, but it's something that we do need to have. Our wildland interface is only going to get bigger as all the trees grow back, and that's that area between urban population and forestry, which we are completely surrounded by, certainly on the backside. So it's something that is going to be more and more necessary going forward. It's just a small, quick response vehicle that can get back into woods, run down fire lanes and so on and so forth, and try to get to that little spot fire before it grows and causes any significant issue. Could also, in theory, be used as a utility truck, which you could, in theory, not have to have the extra truck out the back that they use for toting stuff backwards and forwards if it came to it. It's another truck, but it will have a 300 to 500 gallon tank in the back of it, a small pump, and 250 feet of it on a wheel.
I thought we bought the little truck instead of that.
Well, I thought.
As in this one here, yes. That was like, how would you put it? The idea was that would be able to do both. In some of the smaller fires that we've had up north, helping out Oak Street, some of those roads that they have through Forestry, that even that's not going to go through.
So you're thinking more of a utility, like a truck with a tank and a reel in the back?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It could be basically, it could play two roles without costing. I mean, a utility truck is going to cost you, $45,000, and a brush truck might cost you $50,000 plus some extra equipment, but it will do the same job as yes.
And you don't have this in next year's budget, so you have this in forward thinking.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
If we couldn't find a brush truck already made up.
Well, I'm looking for one.
I mean, that way we could, when you
That's-
say price for a truck and
Well,
the outfit, that you
what
really guess.
what we had lined up before is I had lined up an already used tank and basically a skid unit that slid into the back of the truck.
Yeah.
I had lined up one of those before. Unfortunately, I didn't get the truck. I didn't get the skid unit.
And
They do appear. You can buy them. You may need to do a little bit of recondition on the pump and so on and so forth. That sort of stuff appears, but until such time as we know we can get the chassis to put it on, I'm not, it's not really worthwhile looking for.
And the skid does what?
A skid is basically something you could basically take the backhoe outside, lift it up, put it on the ground. So it just slides into the back of the truck.
So we could like take someone on a board off the beach? Medically?
No, sorry, as in the skid is basically, it's the whole system built on
Got
a
it.
skid that slides into the back of the truck. You can
Okay.
slide it back out again, put it down, you then got the truck and put it in the back of it. So it doesn't mean that truck is solely and only a brush truck. You can, if you needed it for some purpose, rather take that unit out and use it as a truck. Relatively easy.
the 250 gallons out sort of be, that's
250, 300 is
got
normally
to
about
be a
what
little
you're.
more than that, I would say, that's not much more,
Not much water.
but no.
Well, you've got to remember that we use a smaller diameter hose and a much smaller diameter
Well, I
nozzle.
understand, probably a 1 inch hose.
It's normally it's a 3/4 to 1 inch hose, and it's got a very small nozzle on it. The idea is it penetrates to through the underbrush to try to stop the fire from spreading. 300 gallons of water will last you 25 minutes just going around spotting out the fire. So it's not a case of dumping a chunk of water at it. It's really much more focused fire suppression.
The more water you got, the bigger the truck you got to buy.
Yeah. I mean, an F-250, F-350 is as far as we want to go.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we have the handheld radio replacement program. This is to help create a rolling replacement system in order to replace all radios before they reach their end of life usage. So we have $12,000 allocated next year, $6,000 from the general fund, and $6,000 through grants and aid.
Believe it or not, this thing that dangles from my waistband or from my shoulder is that, and this is $6,500.
Yeah.
So it's not, I mean, $6,000 sounds like a lot, and it's almost think, you know, I would have thought you could have bought 6 of them for that before I joined the fire department. But when I was handed this and told, don't lose it, it's $6,500, and I still didn't believe it until I actually went and asked Motorola for a price on one. And that's state contract price, $6,000.
What's the life on them? I mean, is it?
Depends on how you look after them. If you throw them around and drop them off trucks and so on and so forth, not very long. We've had these ones since 2014. Isn't that when you bought them, by 2014?
Later than that was with the 800 megahertz system. We kept prolonging it. It was probably 16.
I mean, we lost 2 in the storm, which we never replaced. I mean, in theory, they were, the insurance money was bought in, but we never actually replaced them as such.
So they last over 5 years.
Oh, yeah, they will last.
Asking for 1 a year.
Exactly. Yeah, they should last, well looked after, they can last up to 10 years, but what you would do is you would put some into reserve. We have nothing in reserve right now. If I lose one, someone's basically using a stick and or a piece of twine and a metal can. Because that's as much as we've got.
So this grant is a grant we already have, or a grant we're applying for?
As of yet, we don't have the grant for next year. I would have to apply a VFA grant or something like that, and buy 2 at the same time. And what would happen then is that it's a 50-50. We get one from them and pay for one ourselves. And there are other grants you can get for communications. I just haven't gone out on those yet.
All right, next up is our bunker gear replacement. The department currently has 14 pairs of bunker gear that has a 10-year lifespan. Half of that gear has reached beyond the useful life, will reach beyond half the useful life by 2028, and the other half in 2029. This project will provide funding to replace half of the bunker gear, which is 7 pairs, in 2028. So this is pretty far out.
Yeah, it's one of the disadvantages of what happened with Hurricane Michael. Everything got replaced, but it meant that everything also has an end of useful life. At FPA, we call it not fit for practical application, but it's actually what the fire departments use, their guidelines as to when they have to replace things. 10 years on bunker gear, it's life safety. We're not going beyond 10 years. It will have to be replaced in 2018, 19. Sorry, 2028.
All right. Next up, we have administration. That has a proposal of $7,500 in fiscal year '24 and a grand total of $28,500 over the 5 years. That is focused on the computer refreshment program and security system and cameras. We'll dive into those. First up, we have our computer refresh program. We have $3,000 allocated in '24. That is tentatively should get us 2 pretty high-end laptops. They're about $1,500 with a bit of a contingency fund in there as well. So that's not just the laptop, but it includes your docking station, replacing any monitor if you need one as well, to have a secondary monitor. The price of that equipment has gone up dramatically over the years. So 2 laptops a year over the 5 years is the proposal. Following that, we have our security system and cameras project. Staff's proposing an additional $4,500 in fiscal year '24. Recently, the key card access and security monitoring was purchased last year. This would add cameras. We work through Bay County IT for most of our IT needs. So this will just help continue to secure not only City Hall, but our other facilities. Unless there's any questions, we can move into utilities. All right, the utility summary page, you'll see that the fiscal year 2024 recommendation is $885,000. Of that, $75,000 comes from the water fund, $150,000 comes from the sewer fund, and $660,000 comes from impact fees. First project is the purchase of a new diesel pump phase 2. This will be a purchase for fiscal year 24 and then an additional pump in fiscal year 26. We've allocated $75,000 for each of those. I believe it was this year, we purchased one for $55,000 off of the state contract. I anticipate we can likely get about that price again. But we've allocated $75,000 for contingency, for increased costs. But as long as that state contract's still in place, we should be able to get around the same price. But some backup funds allocated just in case.
Do we need miscellaneous? I know that's you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, I know we purchased one, we rented them for 4 years. And we could have bought 10 probably, but we finally bought one. And you think we need another one?
3 pumps, but 2 of them are really obsolete. One of them hadn't been operational since I've been here. The new one we got, we took it straight to 14th Street. It's been a
Yeah,
lifesaver.
been there all about all.
We do need another one, just for emergency services. The pump we bought, and I commend you, you bought top of the line. There's not a better one in the market than what we bought. I commend y'all for that. It works really well. It's top of the line. Yeah, we need another one. We need to get our fleet and such because we're still growing. You never know when you're gonna have an emergency. We got a call out Tuesday night and we were able to go down and get staff and we were able to get the pumps operational. If not, then we would have had to rent a bypass pump, put that back on, and depending on who you deal with, I mean, the price of everything went up. You really have to watch where you get those, but it pays for itself.
All right, the next one is going to be, I'm sure, the fun project that we will discuss. The purchase of a vac truck is in the budget for fiscal year 2024 proposed by staff. I have requested $585,000. I believe that we will be able to purchase it probably closer to $500,000. We've built in significant contingency. I believe this is a purchase that is well overdue. The city rents it regularly. I believe that's at a cost between $1,500 and $2,000 per day for that. Because of that high rental cost, I don't believe the city utilizes vac trucks as much as they probably should be or could be. We partner with Bay County at times to utilize it. The big one to remember on this is that we're proposing it out of impact fees. The city has a pretty significant stockpile of impact fees.
So I think sewer's got $1 million.
Yeah, the current totals, water has $736,422. Sewer has $1.9 million in impact fees. Those have time limits on it. You're getting to the point where it's time to start spending impact fees or start sending them back to where they came from. A vac truck would significantly improve operations. I think it's one of the best purchases you can probably make with that money. Will you speak towards all the great things we do with it?
Over the vac truck, one of the things you do when you have an emergency, right now we have to call Panama City sometimes we're here within an hour. When I say Panama City, I'm not talking about Bay County, I'm talking about SIS or whoever we use, Hydro Service, whoever. If we got a sewer problem that tentatively could be going on the ground, potentially could have an overflow going to surface waters, having a truck on hand would minimize the impact of the sewer thing, how quick we got to it, reduce downtime, just all the way around it. It jets, it vacuums. Not only could use it for that, you could use it for stormwater. In the event he had to move some of that, it's just a whole bevy of things to be done. And at some point in time, we're going to have one with the city growing as much as it is. It's a win-win for the city.
I'm glad Mr. Glenn brought that up because I was. Public Works could use that tremendously. Anytime we have a stormwater line that's plugged up, we could use that to vacuum it out, save us from having to pay somebody to come from Panama to do that.
It's got the jetter on it too, that you can use the jetter on there to unlock. If you've got a sewer line block or even a stormwater block, it's got high pressure, you can get it. And so I clean it out, it's good, it's good shit. It's a good thing, we've used a lot of them, in fairness to y'all. Y'all have allowed us to do a lot of work on the lift stations, and it's not near as bad as it has been used, having to rent trucks and stuff, but we're still a work in progress. We still have 8 single-phase stations, that's normally where the problems come from. But a vacuum truck at this time would really help us in the long run, again, response time, downtime, all that thing.
All right. Unless there's any questions, we'll move on.
Is that a new truck?
Yes, sir.
585.
Our next one is a request for $5,000 in fiscal year ~25. The city periodically needs to replace its 4-inch trash pumps. These pumps are used to clear out the area of the sewer leak to allow crews to fix the issue. The cost also includes the price of hoses and equipment. Again, $5,000 allocated in fiscal year ~25 with a slight increase in fiscal year ~27. Realistically, those probably need to be adjusted up higher too, because the way the prices increase. Anything to add?
These are small engines. Now, Morris one this year works great. One of the best buys we made that in the tractor you allow us to purchase, but it's small enough that we can move it by hand, 2 men can move it. But given the nature of pumping sand and grit and stuff there, if you look at the shop out there, we've got several smaller ones that life expectancy isn't real good, but we're trying to take care of it, trying to take care of all the equipment, but it's a tentative thing. If we get to that point, we see the one we got still in good shape, something we could scratch, but we're looking ahead at what potentially may be coming down the road.
The next 2 projects are tied together. They're allocated on 2 pages because one will be partially funded through the sewer fund and one will be partially funded by the water fund in a 50-50 equal split. For a grand total purchase of $30,000 for a new 30 horsepower diesel tractor. Those lifespans are approximately 4 to 5 years. It will replace the equipment that will be at end of year in fiscal year '27, end of life at fiscal year '27. I wouldn't be surprised if when we get a little closer we need to up those dollars as well, but this is just to make sure we have this piece of equipment on our long range plan.
No one thank y'all for providing that tractor this past year. It's been a godsend. I like the wolf. I like the tractor that y'all bought. Yeah. It's the top of the line. It works really well. I mean, it's, the guys were all excited. It's one of the best pieces of equipment we have.
All right, the next 2 are not directly related to each other, but I'll try and address them at the same time because we're probably in an either-or kind of situation on this, not necessarily both. First, we'll talk about the sewer fund's purchase of a Ford F-250 with boom crane. This will allow for a tremendously safer and more efficient method of pulling to actually lift the pumps at the pump stations. Mr. Glenn will dive into that a little bit more in depth. That purchase was proposed at $100,000 through the sewer fund. Because we are improving the way we currently do something, I would not recommend that you use impact fees for that. You're improving existing operations. You're not addressing growth. You're not adding capacity in that sense. Now, the next project is the addition of a Ford F-250 pickup truck. In an ideal world, the utility department has at least one additional vehicle. So we have allocated $75,000 in fiscal year '24 for an additional Ford 250 with 4-wheel drive. Now on that one, because of the growth, because we'll likely see at least one additional staff member there, I would recommend that you do use impact fees on that purchase. So if you want to go one or the other. The easier route would probably be to add the F-250 pickup truck, because you can utilize impact fees and not use direct utility funds. So you won't really be passing it through to your actual utility customers or use the growth money. In terms of what will be significantly, I think, better purchase and help with the operations better is the one with the boom crane. And if you want, I'd love to buy both. So we can always talk about that. When you talk about where we'll pick up the efficiencies with the boom crane specifically.
What we use now is we take a tractor down there, either the Mini or the John Deere, take the back wheel, hang it over, roll the bucket up, take a sling, put a chain foil on it, reach the pump. It's not best safety situation in the world to do that. I did look and explore. I really thought that we could possibly buy just the boom crane, put on our existing utility body. But I did not realize that the utility body has to be specifically built to specs that it will handle boom crane. In other words, it's got to be heavy duty. I didn't realize that. I did find that out in the course of it. So really and truly what we need to do is try to buy a truck with a boom crane. I did find out we have a local vendor in Pensacola that you can buy a state contract. They said they have some demo models that are in really good shape. I'm waiting on them to get back with me. I should know something within the next 2 weeks. A little more information on that.
Go ahead. I was gonna go there.
I'm gonna get real creative, and I'm gonna say, so you're tying up a backhoe that you don't need to tie up, that due to growth we would be using elsewhere, thus meaning impact fees could be used.
Yes.
I think there's an argument we
If
can
the
make.
city attorney agrees, then sure.
We can
some
be
analysis
creative.
on that. Yeah.
And the safety factor.
Well, we have more lift stations, it's harder on our staff, so we need to expand our service and use impact fees. I can write a good argument if you need.
There's no way you could beef up the back end of one of our newer trucks that we just purchased?
From what they told me, and this is just based on a written sales rep, he told me that no, they were built specifically heavy duty for the boom. And
The first thing, I listen to a sales rep.
Some of these pumps that we have, some of the large ones, they're really heavy, and I understand what he's saying. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I thought the demo model would have been a good way to go because
I think you ought to look into that a little bit more, maybe ask some technical people that are beefing up the back end.
Actually, those trucks are built because of the stress. When you have a boom, it's like when you hold a gallon of milk here.
The width of it and everything.
No, you extend it out, it's the torque. And so those undercarriages are built specifically for that, usually with a 5-to-1 safety factor on the max that you can lift. So internally and underneath, it's built. A lot of trucks that, like you were talking about putting it on something else, flip over.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful.
Big deal.
Some of them large enough come with outriggers.
Yeah. I got a question. Sure. In this presentation, we've talked about 3 different trucks. And we do have vehicles here that are fairly new. Is there any way we could utilize some of this, like, maybe not for the boom, but in another way?
What do you mean another way? In terms of like something other than vehicle purchases?
Can we
Or-
shift vehicles around?
Shift
I think?
vehicles around just to, is there vehicles we have currently for some of these that we could change departments or?
I don't believe so. Tommy, will you address it too? We're not fully equipped in vehicles by any means. We still
No.
have vehicles out there that are 2 decades old, correct?
Yeah, mine, none of the vehicles that I purchased, most of mine are 150s. So they wouldn't be anywhere heavy enough to do what Mr. Glenn needs. And a lot of them, especially like what he's talking about, would have dualies on the back or something like that. We don't even have a dually truck left here anyway.
So there's nothing that we currently have that would meet either department's needs?
Definitely wouldn't meet his, for sure.
on that note, the Ranger that we've got, I think we got it right after the storm, it's pretty well on its last legs. And I appreciate the fact y'all allowed us to get a new truck. I appreciate all y'all do, but we're just trying to bring y'all up to speed. The train is necessary. If we get the train, we wouldn't worry about trying to get another truck, and that would be something we'd put in our fleet. used.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the trucks, and the one Mr. Glenn is talking about now was donated from Tallahassee. So some of the trucks we have, the smaller trucks, we're trying to get those out of here and get full-size trucks. Right now, I have 2 small trucks in my department, 2 small Rangers. And they're old, very old. The one Mr. Glenn's talking about is getting to the point that we're putting more in the truck to repair it and brakes and different things, that the truck's even worth.
Yeah.
Hey,
Thank you.
just also with the boom truck, if, God forbid, we ever have a big storm again, those things can move those trees off the street for emergency purposes, where we don't have the equipment to do that. If we get in a dire situation, our escape avenues are blocked.
And the skid with equipment attachments will help with that, something like that too.
Backhoes.
The
We do have
backhoe,
things
yeah.
that will move
Some
it,
of the
but
other-
they'll move it.
Yeah, okay.
I think one thing we did here on this is, it's a no-brainer. I probably believe what Mr. Harrell's saying as far as the truck and the need for the back end to be beefed up and everything. So, yeah, I think when we look at this, we have to look at it, a $175,000 project,
But I do argue it is growth driven.
Yeah.
We'll look at that.
which is good. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
At this time, do you want to see both projects remain in the CIP, or do you want one project to remain in the CIP? Or do you want to make that decision when we dive into operating, see where we are overall? We'll leave it in for now, we can always cut it next time.
I think now let's see what our operations are.
Yeah, and do you know how much of our impact fee money is at its end of life? That we have to, all of it, I think.
It's a lot.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say, there's maybe some of these projects that we're using there that we could use impact for. We shifted around,
yeah.
and maybe operations will help us have a bigger look at that.
Yeah, I suggest you take this and just combine it and not look at it separately.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
some of these items that we actually have scheduled 2 to 3 years out, if they're impact fee, I don't know that we
Exactly.
wanna
That's-
wait, let's do it.
That's what I was
there.
gonna say, yeah, if we know.
I don't wanna affect the fund, but if it's impact fee,
Well, let's look at the operational stuff
Sure.
and we have all this need. Let's find out where we can use these impact funds for these needs, because it's worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do that. All right, moving on. We have allocated in the sewer fund a wastewater assessment. Again, this is for fiscal year 25 to analyze our capacity, to analyze how our lines are operating, just to game plan for the future. This would essentially just be hiring a professional consultant to prepare an assessment of the city's treatment of wastewater. Of course, we don't treat the wastewater, we send it back to the county, but it's not close to
2 years.
25. Yeah, it's not next year. This is another one that we'll be analyzing the 14-inch sewer force main. At 25, I think, is maybe even early on that. But in 25, there's funding set aside $200,000 worth to, I would say, break that into 2 sets, and/or that previous plan will tell you whether or not you really need to do it. The $200,000 is for the professional services and creating the plan to do it. There's $2 million set aside in 26. I know it's tied to bonds at the moment. By no means am I proposing that you necessarily do that today. If your assessment comes back and says you need to upsize that because of the growth that your city's seeing, right off the bat, that could be moving towards impact fees right there. So this is really just there, so you're tracking it. It's a long-term plan. So I would not be too concerned with that significant project right now. Now, with that being said, there are breaks along that line that the city has to go out and fix routinely. So we need to start thinking about how we're going to address that, but we don't need a plan to replace it tomorrow either. So.
You might not know this answer, but aren't we retiring a bond at about the same time? So would we not be renewing one and just keeping our payment?
I talked to Debbie a little bit about that, and I'll try and get a sheet that shows
I think it's
what
close.
the bonds are. Yeah.
I think it's real close to that date.
You know, you're saying you got 4 or 5 breaks a year in that pipe you fix it. You're gonna have a whole bunch more coming online when an apartment complex comes on and some other things. So you're looking at more problems coming up here quickly.
That's
You're
true.
gonna be forcing a lot more through that pipe.
Yeah, and I believe it was 2 years ago we had 4 or 5. Well, this year, last year, we've been significantly better, thankfully. Don't want to drink it, but you're absolutely right.
He brings something up that's budget related, but not really. Several of those buildings are officially online now, right?
Correct. I believe it's at least 2, if not 3, half COs.
So that'll affect our revenue in those funds this year. Okay.
They're not flushing yet.
Yeah, that's correct. You will have not moved in yet.
But by October they will be.
They'll be trickling in between now and October for sure.
No
but
pun intended?
Yeah. Next fiscal year, you'll definitely see it.
I think what Mr. Rock is saying is something we definitely have to look at with everything coming online and the age of the pipe also. Actually, we're in good shape on the average daily flow for the year. But as things progress, we'll have to look at that. I think you're exactly right. And the age of that PVC is not gonna last forever. And I don't know how long it's been around, I'm guessing around probably 20 years. Normally they put stuff in like that at 20 or 25 years max. So it's something to look at. But impact fees would be the way to go, especially
ask about
with our growth.
Yeah, I was going to use if we could use impact fees to help with that.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we have your inflow and infiltration program. We have that allocated $50,000 in '24, and then $100,000 for the remaining 4 years of the CIP. Mr. Glenn, will you talk about the I&I program and explain it in depth?
Well, we have a lot of problems. DEP is really concerned, and one of the things that will help us if we've got major inflow and infiltration problems, that will help us in return to Panama City cut down on our sewer rate. We do smoke testing, we do a camera line. Sometimes we have to get professionals. We've got a camera. The problem with our camera, if there's water in the line, we can't see. There's better equipment that contractors have that they can see through the water and push through and identify problems. High rainfall events, we know that our flows go up, so we do know we have some. This is an ongoing thing. Just for your information, we just got through working with DEP on 11 sanitary sewer overflows that we inherited, all of us inherited. Of those, 9 of those were acts of God, not anything we could do. One time we had an alarm fail, another time we had a hose blow off the bypass pump. So it's not really a lot of things that we could do, but this info and everything, it helps us to keep up with what's going on in our system, to identify. I just learned today that USDA in Florida has opened a grant for water and sewer infrastructure. We're trying to get that information. I'll pass it on to Malcolm, let him look at it and present it to you guys. So we're looking at Florida State Revolving Fund. I talked with DEP Tuesday last week. We had a meeting. Told me a lot of those grant portals were open, so it's an excellent time for us to take a look at our infrastructure, see what we can do. And I'll just pass the information on to y'all.
Do you think we have a significant I&I problem?
Yes, for heavy rainfall, I think we do.
All right. Any other questions in utilities? Otherwise, we can move to the good department. Sorry, a little biased. Development services.
We can skip that.
That's bad.
We have proposed $117,250 for next fiscal year in development services, of which $55,000 is tied to general fund revenues and $62,250 is allocated to grants and aid. Our first project is the purchase of an additional code enforcement car. This is not recommended for fiscal year 24, not allocated for next fiscal year. At the moment, it's tied to fiscal year 25. As we navigate what council wants to do in terms of headcount and code enforcement, that can move up, that can move back, however you guys want, but I want to make sure we're tracking that long term. So that's $50,000 in 25. Our next one is for a community master plan. Let me really dive into this one. So we've allocated $77,250 in fiscal year 24. That is not what the project would cost. And I would only propose doing this if we receive the grant that is in the packet. So staff has submitted $75,000 Community Planning Technical Assistance, or CPTA, grant. We submitted that last month. I think. We should be finding out here in the next couple of weeks. This would be all about how does this city want to grow? What do we want to see? What type of streets do we want to see? Do we want to see trees on our streets, narrow streets, wide streets? Different planning techniques. I think it's something that we've heard from the community in public comment a lot that I think I've heard and been listening. So we submitted that grant for that project. If we were to win the grant, we would receive funding prior to the start of next fiscal year. So I'm proposing that it's a $90,000 project, $75,000 funded through the grant, which I think would cover the entire cost. However, I've allocated an additional $15,000 in the general fund as a contingency in case we need it. Now that 90 is proportionally split for the grant, so some of that money is backed out into the previous fiscal year, the one we're in currently, and the remaining $62,250 is for next year, and then I've tied our entire contingency to next fiscal year, which is why of the $90,000 you see $77,250 in your CIP. So I know that was a lot. Happy to answer any questions, or we can dive into it more in depth if we are successful in getting that grant. That one could be totally wiped out. We don't get that grant, it's gone.
No.
So,
Okay, is that what you showed me at that meeting?
Okay. Go ahead.
Next up, staff is recommending that we allocate $40,000 of general fund revenue for what I would call the comprehensive plan update phase 1. I don't know if we can get through it all in one update, everything we want, whether that's one phase, two phases, however it goes, but we are allocating that we set aside $40,000. From what I've heard, it sounds like that is a want of the community, but it's totally up to you guys, whatever you want to do. But we do have $40,000 for professional services related to that next fiscal year. I can increase it, I can cut it. however you want
In
to
your
do.
history, how often do you revise a comp plan?
Oh, man.
We just did this.
We just,
Yeah, we did it in what,
Yeah.
19?
we spent
It was
18
before-
months
so-
just.
It was like
updating.
17, 18?
It was 2017, 18.
Okay.
18 months. And we paid Alara Dutcher
Alara Gucci,
to
yeah.
handle it. And I sat through every single meeting.
Sure.
What is the purpose of reviewing it again now?
Yeah, if council wants to or not, I am fine either way. It just sounds like, from what I've heard regularly, that people have not been happy with the outcomes of the plan.
Well, I don't know that it's the outcomes of the plan, I think it's just our ordinances, I'm hearing more about than.
That's it, a plan is different than our rules.
Yeah,
And
sure.
people think it's in the plan, so it's gospel, but it's not.
Right. it's not,
And
so.
you could set aside the same dollar figure in order to update the land development code
I think that,
specifically.
I think that's
Either
where
way.
we need to go, land development code and making sure
Especially
our
with our-
ordinances are in line with our codes.
Our
Yeah.
newly found plat problem may need to come
Correct.
into that.
Correct. There,
And
we,
it's supposed to be minor things that people have been talking about.
yeah,
You know, when you look at some of your residential versus commercial building there, why should they be able to go 40-something feet when everybody else is restricted to elsewhere? I mean, to me, it's minor changes that need to be done, nothing major. It's just little things here and there.
I think we've had a lot come across, and it, seems a little overwhelming when you have all these things that
Oh, yeah.
back to back, even though they might be spread way apart, just because they come so fast. I think we need, in such a way, I think we need to look at that. And I think this would be better used to do that.
And I'd support the LDC more than
Yeah.
comp plan right now.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, if that's consensus, I'm happy to change it.
Done.
I agree.
Okay. Okay.
Do you want to stay with 40,000? I recommend it. If you need less, great. It goes right back into the general fund.
That works for me.
Number seems high, but I think
Yeah.
for a good
As long as
question.
it goes back into the general
Gonna go
fund, I
back
think
into
we're
it.
good.
Now, I do have a few other things to talk about as well. I would say no CIP plan is complete if we're not talking about the pier, if we're not talking about the jetties, right? So those type of projects will be in what appears to be its own separate department, and that will be essentially a FEMA department. It won't be a Hurricane Michael fund or department. It'll be a FEMA fund so that if we ever have another storm or any situation where dollars coming through FEMA, we can continue to use that same one. So I'm working with Ryan from Atkins to really prepare that. You'll have a 5-year window to be able to track all these different projects that way. So because for the most part, that's going to be federal dollars, it's not really going to impact general fund dollars or our taxpayers. It's not in there yet. I prioritize the ones that our citizens are truly paying for first. So you'll see that, anticipate when we sit down at July 12th. And then I also have asked Tim if he would to talk about a couple of grant options and if you want to put some money aside for matching programs. Tim has been just unbelievable. I've only been here for a few months and I've seen how much he's done for us in terms of grant submittals. A lot of those require matches. So I just wanted to talk about those 2 or 3 programs real quick.
Before we go grants.
Sure.
On the pier and the jetty, and we can always amend and bring them in if they do happen. We don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
to put them in.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%. And then, yeah. I'll do that.
So I apologize, I thought this was going to be on the screen, and I'll give a copy to Lisa here that I have. I'm not sure what I've done.
Sure.
What I wanted to quickly talk to.
Sure.
I can give you one if you, I'll look at hers.
You have one. You can have one.
You can share.
We'll share.
I can look.
Yeah, absolutely.
that fall.
That's right, we're a team. Okay.
Okay, Tim Linderman, I think most of you know I work as a volunteer.
I can see you.
Okay.
We're good.
Okay, Tim Linderman, volunteer grant specialist for the city. I wanted to present a grant that we have received and some other future grants and see if the interest is in supporting these. So we have applied for and received a grant for 2 non-motorized launch sites or kayak docks. We planned one in the city of Parkland Park and one on the main canal. What you see there is a potential use of the old Miramar boat ramp to do that. So the grant we received is for $60,000. So it's a 50-50 matching, so we'd have to come up with another 60 if we decided to do this. I have considered what our in-house matching should apply to that. So you're looking at, for the canal site, probably about $8,000 and city support and $6,000 for the Parkland Park. Now, neither of those have to go to those locations, and we don't have to do both to get the grant. And I've spoken to the provider of this grant, and they're willing to wait until the next fiscal year for our funding for us to do the execution of this.
So we've been given this.
We have won this grant. And if you turn the page, you'll see that most of the material for this would be modular. And the benefit of this, and I got to back up, this will be an ADA specific access, and that's required because it's federal funding. But it's also a safety issue. You can see the types of docks they have. It positions a kayak in a stationary position. There are handholds that get into it, and the ADA version has a way for an ADA person to actually get into it, if like they're in a wheelchair, etc. It would provide ADA parking. At the Miramar, I think we can get 2 parking spaces and an ADA spot there. I don't know if you'll be able to back a boat into there, another kayak or something based on the spacing of it. That's yet to determine, and any concrete work that would need to be done. As a benefit, if there's a concern about our current boat ramp and either the loss of that or some damage to it, you could easily modify this back to be a boat ramp by moving that dock out of the way. The other benefit of doing this is it gets the kayaks out of the boat ramp area, so there's no mixing of motor and non-motorized boats. And it also could open up the canal system in the future. Now the Parker Park site, I don't believe, we were looking at Sweetwater and the work they were doing. It's probably ready to be done. So if you were to budget for this, I'd recommend the canal. And there's a couple different locations on the canal, but the Miramar boat ramp is only one of them. So I present that to you. We're looking at I figured a match of about 34,000 if we do the main canal, and about 8,000 of that could be in-house, so looking at a budget of about 26,000 for that. Any questions on that?
Yeah, I got
Sure
one,
you
two.
do.
I'm definitely for it. Parker Park would be sort of, that'd be a good place for it. And the Miramar place, with the steepness of the ramp, to get it ADA, I mean, you'd have to go, it can't, because when we build our ramp to go over, you can't go so much to descent and that, down to the water that far, you would really have to.
Right, so I apologize.
That costs a lot of money there now.
We'll go back one page. So we've already looked at this ramp, and so the requirement is every so many feet you have to have a restaurant. So
Yes.
this would be the ramp. That would be a major cost for this.
I don't think you would make it, that won't make it.
It,
Because we got two crossovers down here that's got, you go down, you turn, you come back, and it's not as steep as the boat ramp.
you are correct, Jerry. So it'll probably have to be to make that a zigzag or
You're
two.
gonna have to go a lot of seas.
Yep.
That's,
So that's-
I'd rather have it at the canal over where Mr. Walker's gonna put his.
And that was the original site plan, and we could certainly do that. It's gonna be the same challenge to make the distance for that walkway. But the area we looked at to do that was where that existing, where the lift station is, where canal makes the turn.
Yes.
There's a parking lot there
Salt
that they
Creek.
could park, yes, at Salt Creek where they could park. And there's also a AD accessible ramp that
Yes.
goes down to the canal that can be utilized. We'd have to do something separate to carry the kayaks down, but to meet the ADA access, that could be used. So that was another alternative site.
How about where our pumping station is? I mean, I know we can't be pumping a boat out, we're saying.
Yeah, we didn't want to get in the way of that.
There is enough space, because remember,
I'm just
we have
saying,
the pump at
I think we
35,
need this.
slip 36 isn't usable, we don't even have tie-ups on it, so that whole area from 35 right to the corner is very open and available.
Shallow.
This-
And we have ADA access
Yeah.
ramp already
It would work there, because we're now gonna put the jet ski up on the slip water.
Right.
But to your point, Mr. Smith,
There's one
we could,
there.
Jerry.
Jerry, to your point, Jerry, we could put this in a number of places and we've looked at the canal on the other side, and there are 2 or 3 locations I think we could put this and be away from affecting the current docks and any boats. Yes, ma'am.
Is there a way that you could get with me and any other council members would like, and, because I don't know where he's talking about. I mean, I can't be,
Sure.
I don't visit this side of,
We can
unfortunately.
meet on site with you.
I mean,
and
I
show you.
visit, but I'm not really
Sure.
familiar with all the names and the streets and the visuals of it.
Probably
So-
the easiest thing
Mhm.
is to meet with whoever's interested separately, so it doesn't
Yes.
have to be a public meeting.
Correct.
And I can actually go down to the canal with you and show you the exact site CC. And I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, before any kind of decision would be made, I would think that, we would want to all be able to visually see possible areas and then come back and bring this to the table
Yeah,
for that.
and if I might, we don't need a decision today. I'm just looking for direction on, do you want us to put any matching in there? So our next meeting is until the 12th. So yeah, if you can do that in the next week and tell me, put $30,000 in there for this, we'll factor it in.
I have a question.
Sure.
Out of all the funds that we have that we raise every year by selling boat slips, is it something that it's an improvement to the canal for what some of those funds are for? Could we, it's just an idea,
You'd like me
just
to-
throwing it up there.
Yeah.
What do we have in that fund?
Some from general fund, some from that. Just,
I don't think funding's a problem then.
Yeah.
We could probably do it with the fees. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you need to fund it out like property taxes, so.
And just to be clear, unlike the boat ramp, I don't think there'll be a practical way to charge for the use of this.
Right.
But
I
it's,
think it's bringing value to our city and our tourists.
and I do know that, I'm not a kayaker, but I do know the ocean kayaking community is very much in favor of something like this. There's a group in Panama City that is very interested in this. I don't think they're interested enough to donate to it, but they are interested in it.
And then when they're done kayaking that day, they eat lunch at Mango Marley's or somewhere else in town. It's the goal. I hope.
And hopefully we'll have more restaurants and.
Sure. Absolutely.
Coming forward.
All right, the
Trailers.
No, other than trailers.
Well, I have
Hang on.
I am a kayaker, and currently, if you want to get the kayak into the ocean, you have to hand carry it. And I'm not a very big person. I carry my own kayak. It's a lot of work. If you're going down one of the ramps, you have to get your kayak down ramp and then turn. So you have to lift it over and then go down the ramp and then turn again. It's worn out by the time you get to the water. And then when you get to the water, if the surf is even a little bit big, it's really hard to get into the kayak. And so you're solving a lot of problems here. There are shorter places to go down, but unfortunately, they're emergency entrances to the beach. Those are the best places actually right now to carry your kayak down, but we'd be in the way of emergency services.
right.
Yeah, so this would be a big help for kayakers, yes.
It really does make it a lot safer and easier to get into the kayak to do it this way.
I agree. I think we just, ours is just location.
Put eyes on it, we all
Put
need
our
to
eyes
put
on
eyes
it.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what we
And
got.
before you move on, I think Parker Park would be a fantastic place for it, but maybe in a couple of years when Sweetwater has done their thing, we have our plan for Parker Park. I would definitely recommend at the canal.
Yeah. And
So far from Parker Park to get to the,
That's true. That would be more of, I would think if you want to just kayak around those canals
Hey, you're tired.
and see how it gets.
yeah.
okay, any other questions on that? So, the second one I wanted to talk about was, we applied for and didn't receive, there was some technical issues for a urban community forestry grant. And what I've shown you there is, I would recommend we apply for it again this year. It's $50,000 to $60,000 would be matching. And what we had looked at is some possible locations to put trees. So the first one is Florida Avenue. You have the road and then the strips in between. I think that'd be an awesome place to put like palm trees, so they wouldn't be into the road space, and palm trees are awesome. Joe Drive, that would be a good place as far as for erosion control and stormwater. Possibly put pine trees or some other kind of tree along that road, and I think the city now owns it.
Well, do
I don't think we
Thank you,
formally, but we will see.
Yeah.
That's what we're told.
And then the other area that we looked at one time is, we did get a grant for the Palms Park, the actual park, to do some work, and there's a plan to put some trees in there. What you don't have, I believe, is on both sides of the open areas, any trees going in there. Well, that'd be another good place to put trees. Now, the caveat with this is, it requires you to use 3 different tree species, so we couldn't just put in palm trees. We'd have to decide what trees we think would be best. It does allow part of this grant can go towards irrigation, so we wouldn't just have to put trees out there and then spend the money putting them in. We could use part of this to put irrigation systems in. So I think it's worth looking at. I don't know how much the city wants to spend, but I think we have a really good chance of getting this if you're interested, but it's a 50-50 matching, unfortunately. So I just present that for your thoughts. Questions about that?
Before the hurricane, Florida Avenue had all the trees on it. It was nice. And under the Palms Park, the reason it was called Under the Palms Park, there's a lot more there than there now. Those are the 2 places. I wouldn't worry about St. Joe Drive. That's going nowhere right now. But those 2 places should be fixed up.
Yeah.
And you got plans for Under the Palms Parks right now. If you could add more trees to it, that would be nice.
And, trees always help with our water situation too, so that's good. But I got a question on Florida, being down each side.
It'd be in the middle.
It's in the middle.
It's in the
boulevard.
It'd be in the middle, yeah.
Okay.
Because here it looked like it's here and here.
Yeah, it looks like.
That's the.
That was my dream to put a
Where all
parking
the
area.
old oleander bushes used to be.
Yes.
Yeah, so right down the middle where
It can't be.
where the street
What's the
splits.
only tree, like, what's the requirement?
So
Is
the
it-
That's
requirement,
good golf
the
cart.
requirement is for trees.
What's that?
We can,
Oh, yeah.
so the question was, is it only for trees?
Yeah.
So it is only for trees. Now, but if we wanted to put something other than a tree, we can use that towards our matching. So if we wanted to match with some type of bush, that would count towards our matching part of it.
Okay.
Because I
Yeah.
think it would be nice to have a little mix, especially, like those oleanders were really nice.
Mhm.
And even under the palms, sometimes to have that break where you're not just looking through all the houses, but something that.
Yeah. And
I think anytime you can match.
A lot of shade.
Tommy,
and the good news, I'm sorry.
Tommy, aren't there, aren't there pipes running under that median on, Florida?
I
Go
think
up
it's
to
the
the
pipes
side.
if you have trees.
Yes, they
Yes,
are.
there
Well, there
That's where
is a
the
drain, but it empties into the pipe that they're replacing now. Several places all the way down, goes on the road on the east side.
I guess the question is, in that median strip?
In the median strip,
Are
yeah.
there
Yeah,
pipes
I
under
don't know,
that?
I don't know of it, I don't
I
know
think
of the
there
drain
is.
pipe there. So far, what we found all the way down through there is where they're replacing the big pipe, the 36-inch pipe. There are drains in the middle of that medium that are draining into the big pipe on the side. I don't know of anything that runs
Down.
down the street, they're just separate drains that go into that one on the.
Because the pipe's on the north side of the road.
The north side of the road, that's right.
I think the water and sewer will run outside the boundaries of the road with potential crossing through the median. We'll have to do a look
Yeah, I
at
was gonna
that
say.
because
I think there was something I heard about stormwater carrying through that median at some point. What was the plan? Was that the north side?
Yeah,
Okay.
on the north side.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, my input on it is, I would suggest we go ahead and move forward with the grant, anytime that we could improve the city and its
And
appearance,
have
and
help.
especially get a match program.
Yeah.
Is a no-brainer to us.
To make sure we budget the money for others, yeah.
Yeah, we need to make sure we budget.
And one of the reasons, I guess it's personal, when I come to this, is I spend a lot of time writing these, and to not have them at least approved and, in the possibility of, if you're not interested, and I won't waste my time on it, so. Okay, any other questions? or
Well, I'm
comments?
gonna tell you, thank you.
I was getting ready to say same thing. We really
I
appreciate it.
appreciate you
This is volunteer,
I know.
so we appreciate you more than you can ever know.
And when we say no, you go, what do you guys do?
Educate us.
No.
No, okay.
All right, the last one I wanted to offer up to you is the same grant that we got for the kayak launch, the Coastal Partnership Initiative. I talked to them, and if we're interested in doing additional beach access, they would fund Moby mats, over the dune walks, and there are some other options out there that I would want to look into if we wanted to pursue this. On the bottom left corner, this Trex wood plastic composite. It allows for sand to come through. They just awarded Tampa quite a bit of grant funding to do this at Tampa, so there will be some historical, something done on this as far as knowing if it works. And there's some other permanent options. I think we're gonna have to work with the sea turtle folks to make sure we're not impacting the sea turtles. But if it's something you're interested in, and I don't know how much you'd want to put towards it, and we could do small things every year to add Moby mats if you're interested in.
I think we need to take in consideration our visitors and our residents, which we have several residents that need these Moby mats. I've had people come to me long before I was ever a mayor and talk about this, and I know that the
Moby mat group.
Moby mat group, yeah, whatever they're called, yeah, had, really helped us with that, on that funding. So I say we really need to think about moving forward some grants on this and
located in me, I think the pier would be is parking, it'd be so we don't have a pier, but I believe we need
We don't get
to
one.
be in the process of getting a grant to put a motor mat from the pier, and that's a long way, that's a pretty good stretch to the water.
We're getting ready to do that at Parker Park. We've all approved that, and that's gonna, we have a date on that yet?
Sunset.
Sunset, I'm sorry, you're right, yeah, Sunset Park.
Doug got you, say pardon.
Yeah.
Hell on that.
Sorry. Park, yeah. In the air.
What part?
But I think if, we had suggested maybe a couple other streets, so it's something we're gonna budget for, again. If we can get a matching program.
Exactly. Please, yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
so,
for sure.
again, I just wanted to offer up, to take your input on, in the citizens on some areas they would like to look for grants. And one thing I wanted to offer for the city, there are grants, it's a very cumbersome process to purchase sensitive property, wetlands. And so if we're interested then as a city, I'm happy to pursue that. And we can identify any areas that we'd be interested, and then we can pursue that. It's the only way we as this community can probably afford to purchase those properties. Also, I've offered Mr. Glenn some of the things that he's asked for, this DEP grant. I'm happy to work with him on this. There are some of these grants that I'll just be quite frank with you, they require an engineer. I'm not an engineer. And they have they're pretty intensive as far as the engineering work that goes into it. And I worked with Mr. Baber and very happy to continue to do research if needed. And I also offer up that I've helped in the past. I did update the land development code that last year, I think. I helped update that. And if you want to do some rewriting, I'm happy to help with that. Same thing with, I did the employees handbook last year for that update. So that kind of stuff, I'm happy to help the city with. And my rate is pretty high though. So any other questions?
What did you just say about buying properties?
So in the comp plan, it refers to the city should seek to protect sensitive lands, and wetlands are considered sensitive. Now, we don't own a lot of them, but and I think this master plan grant that we applied for will help identify how the city wants to develop and if we want to protect some of those areas. So we can, within our storm water plan and the storm search and some other things, we might identify some properties that aren't built on that we might want to secure as part of our stormwater system, or just to help with the capture of rainwater so that we're not losing that capability. The state offers grants for the purchase. You have to get the landowner to agree on a price first, and then you go forward and you can apply for the grant. There's usually no matching involved. It's 100% provided by the state. So happy to do something like that if you're interested, just like we did with the fire truck and the bridge. You know, we went to the Senate with that. There's those types of requests. There are a number of grants, and I caution you thinking that they're a windfall, because a lot of times they come with a logistics tale and reports that's a real pain. But you do have within the city our engineering contract. They've offered to do more grants, and you have to analyze whether it's worth the cost of doing that. But there are a lot of grants out there, and quite frankly, I don't know how much longer we'll be able to take advantage of our Hurricane Michael situation. So I would pursue as much as you can right at this point.
Thank you.
I got one.
Okay. He's got a question.
Let's
Mr. Tim?
Sir, Tim, Jim.
Tim.
How you doing, brother? I believe we as a council, this man really goes beyond, and he made a statement that sometimes you run into an engineer or you needed a little help from an engineer that would cost money.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I'm just thinking what he said, I think we as a city should help if I'm not talking about $100,000, but whatever you need to get some kind of engineering plan to continue with these grants that you need that little help on.
Yeah,
We have to also look at the cost of the grant that we get from the grant
Yeah,
versus
I
the
know
cost
about
it would
it, yeah.
cost us to help.
I'd hate for us to stop for $2,000 or $3,000 if we could pay an engineer, give him the okay, you know, whatever we have to do to say, okay, we can get that message.
and I'll certainly work with Michael
Yeah.
on anything that I need. And Michael and I have already been working together on a couple grants, so.
We could always, if you find something that may require some engineering work, we could always get with the engineer and kind of get a pre-done
Yeah.
price.
And
Yeah.
what would be helpful for me, so I'm not pursuing something you're not interested in, is maybe the council meetings, if I see something presented to you, just to see if it would pass what you're interested in.
You're absolutely welcome to always be on our agenda, for sure.
Okay,
Anyone is.
thank you.
It's got something to offer.
Free labor, I like it.
The only other thing I would say then is we'll definitely add in the access mats to the plan. I do want to make sure I ask formally, are there any other projects you'd like to see in this CIP prior to bringing it back at the next workshop?
Mine's not a CIP thing, but this is for the council. Next meeting, if you all can have your ideas of what our ask is for the CDC, they're meeting on the 20th to do their budget, so we need to be prepared to submit our requests so we don't miss that, to try and get that dredge hose beach cleaning. So we'll get together and get a list.
Everything you talked about here, public works and funding, the only thing that I didn't hear come up, you talked about dredge, you talked about the hoses, you talked about boat slips, the money for that going in the dredge thing. Not a word about the boat ramp. The boat ramp walls are falling apart. Major money involved to redo the walls. Doug was talking about that undermining and underneath.
But we have
The money, I know,
It's me.
way back when you were the city clerk, I asked you about boat ramp funding, and you said that money was supposed to be 100% for the boat ramp used for that.
Both have fees.
I don't know how any of that changes or whatever, but you're looking at, you know, the boat ramp's gonna be used a lot more after them apartments come in. St. Joe's planning on putting the thing back here for them people to park boats, right, access to the ramps. Your ramp parking lot is a piece of garbage. Every time it rains, you don't even wanna walk through it. Jared, you know what I'm talking about. When it's raining out there, that stuff is like, you don't even wanna get in your truck after walking through the ramp. Money should be allotted to the boat ramp to get something fixed here. And I've talked numerous times about the fee for the ramp. Finally raised it up to $20. I live here as a resident. And I've said over and over about charging residents even to use it, $50 a year, whatever, and that stupid $100 you're charging for people that don't live here is a joke. That should be $200-300. $100 a year for people not living in Mexico Beach is ridiculous. You're using that dredge and everything else to keep that canal open. And it's just not for the boats parked out there, it's for everybody. And that's a big expense the city's paying. And you need to really consider that boat ramp fee. For the people who live here, just maybe $50, but if you don't live here, it should be $200 or $300. Take the money and fix the boat ramp. Get the lot done, get the ramp fixed.
How much is in that,
We don't, you know St. Joe owns that.
I know that.
We
but
met
where
with
you
him a
doing
couple
it?
of weeks ago on that, and with the project manager, and was trying, that's a major project. That they own it, so what, we're trying to get them to fix it up instead of us doing it, so I don't know.
Yeah, if I might add,
And I assume it's a repair, not a capital expense, so it would be a
Well,
repair.
and it's my understanding based on the agreement that we take care of the minor items.
Minor.
It is it's the expectation that they take care of the major ones. So we did start that dialogue.
We
A
started.
couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Rock, we met with them about 2 weeks ago,
Mhm.
and we discussed all the repairs that need to be done down there, so we are working with them to try to get that done.
Yeah, but also, like I said, the ramp fee is for keeping that canal open, the dredging and everything else. I mean, I can't wash my boat without trying to dredge, it's like somebody to slip. I mean, that's a big expense the city pays. You got two guys down here with that dredge, you just got $1 million dredge, thankfully FEMA paid for that. But I mean, that's a big expense you're paying all the time. And that dredge is gonna be nonstop dredging continuously, everybody knows that. And
Let's pray that they don't wanna do it and they give it to us.
All right, so, all
That's true.
right, I need to bring this point of order back to the table, please. Please, okay. Thank you, Mr. Brock, and thank everybody for answering that question. Anybody else have any questions before any public comments for us? No more public input?
Mr. Glenn, do you have something?
All right, Mr.
Just
Plum.
wondered if we need to look at the 14th Street and ambulance repairs that we're looking
Not right now, but yeah, if needed.
All right, anything else at the table?
I have a
Oh,
comment
okay, I'm sorry.
about mobility mat. Currently, our beach is not accessible. It simply is not. I don't care if those ramps are ADA approved or specified. Our beach is not accessible. It only takes one disabled person filing a complaint, and the city will automatically have to come up with minimum $50,000 to settle that complaint, and then do the work to make the beach accessible.
And I think we're moving toward making that happen. I think Tim has brought us some good things. I
We've
appreciate
been
that.
6 years. We asked for looking at 6 years ago, so we've been lucky that no one has filed a complaint for the.
When
Yeah.
I've been sitting here, before I was sitting here and I was looking, I was hearing about the Moby Mats and I was watching, when is this gonna happen? And there was said that there was issues with DEP and all this stuff and, so I think we're moving forward. Do you have anything to say, Mike?
Yeah, I would think we'd see those installed here in the next month or two, probably. I
Yeah.
think. Before the end of the fiscal year, for sure.
So
And
we've
then
got-
the other grants coming toward this too.
Have we gotten the DEP permits that are required for that?
Yeah, I'll follow up with you on.
Because I've read that Destin, I think it was Destin, had to pull theirs up because they didn't get the DEP permit. So
Yeah.
just make sure we've done all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as easy as some people think,
Yeah.
just throw a map down,
Right.
it's not quite that simple.
And then we have the maintenance too. We have to make sure that we're prepared and ready for. Okay, anything else? All right. At the council table, is there anything, Mr. Wolf?
Only that, we all received these, I think, either last night or this morning, so I believe we need to all go through them and come back at some point.
Yeah, I think we're before our next.
I'd like a
And
rundown
yeah,
of
that's a little
cars
bit.
too, what the heck we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have an
I was
inventory of
gonna say-
vehicles.
Dates, everything.
Yeah, I think Debbie sent me an inventory list of everything the city owned at one time, so we might need to
Sure.
find that, forward that on to
Yeah, I'll
you.
pull out the vehicles, I'll have Tommy confirm everything, maybe write in some extra details about mileage, stuff like that, but yeah.
Yeah. Mr.
It's not CIP related, but I don't want to surprise, so usually when we do this, it's all of our wish list. Is there anything like new staff that I should be expecting next time? Is there anything other than capital that's an outside expense that is new? coming?
Yes, there will be increases across just about every operating line at a bare minimum for increase in cost.
Constable, yeah, that makes sense, but nothing new.
There will be a couple, not a significant amount of proposed new staff. I can provide you that list well in advance.
Perfect, I'm just thinking the 12th is coming
Yeah.
fast and I want to start.
Yeah, and you'll have that one definitely well in advance of.
Is that management or management staff or
It's all
supervision?
Field staff.
no supervision, all field staff.
we sit here, I don't know, what about the, if we're gonna get a, auditor or a firm, a accounting firm, that's what we sit in,
Yeah.
see about, or we gonna,
Yesterday was coming back to the table in the future.
I'm assuming that's July 12th, we're going to talk to the
On that
accounting
budget.
position.
okay, I just wanna let us know we're on top of that.
And I would ask two questions then. Do you A, want to add a accounting firm in replace of or in addition to in-house staff or contracted staff? And the second question would be, do you want to see a project for either an additional audit or a forensic audit in the next year's fiscal year? So that's not something you need to decide right now. I believe Panama City did a forensic audit a few months ago for their community redevelopment agency. It's 6 figures.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
Why
They
would we want to
definitely.
do that for the city? Well, I think we ought to continue our,
I think
continue
that-
our normal audit.
Yeah, I think what in my mind,
With a firm.
we're getting another set of eyes on all this as well.
We all have access as well. We know that our Florida required audit is very much behind. There was the offer I was telling you all about from at least one firm that said they could come in, so I'm sure we could hire any firm. That would just be a backup. And I know that there's some cities that I've talked to that they do have a CPA that is not, that's considered, I guess, contract or part-time, and they look at it, they do a weekly check on things. So,
We had it for about 3 years, it was great.
yeah. So that might be something we want to think about doing.
And I want to talk about bringing that position in-house, but that can wait for
Yeah, I
12
think
too.
that's a good
Yep.
idea too. So, but we're moving forward, and we're looking good, and all this looks good. I'm glad we're gonna be able to get some new equipment upcoming. And Ms. Hamilton, you got anything you want to add to the meeting today?
I guess when Tim was talking about the trees, keep in mind, we have a lot of people in this community here in Mexico Beach that are members of a garden club, and some of us have master gardener degrees and stuff, so think of that as another resource when we decide on those trees.
And I say thank you, everybody, that was painless. I blocked out like till 2 o'clock, because I thought this was gonna get rough,
Okay,
so.
well, do we have a motion to
I'll make the
adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you so much. Very
Under
good
2
meeting.
hours.
Very good meeting. Thank y'all so much. And thank everybody for coming.
Sitting here scheduling appointments, because I'm like, I gotta go right to the panel at 3 o'clock.
You're good.